Hello co-developers, welcome back to another interesting video. So in this video we are going to see the defer keyword in GOLANG. So why we use defer keyword and what are the use cases and the things we should know about the defer keyword. So first of all we have to know about the defer. So we use defer in GOLANG to make the function call at the end of the execution block. So execution block, I mean like if we have defined any uh, defer function inside a main block, so that will run in at the end of the main function. And if we have defined an calling that defer inside any other function, so at the end of that function execution it will execute. Or if we have any for loop or while loop or any loop we have, so inside that execution block at the end of that block that defer keyword will execute. So we will see a simple code here. So we will create a function called defer me, and we will just try to print something. Is call, and in the main function we will try to call this function. So what will happen if we just call a normal function, and it is flag 1 and flag 2. So with this we will get to know which line is executing first and which one is not executing. So if we run normal function, normal code, we'll see first this line and then this function is called and then this flag 2. But suppose if we run defer with defer keyword, so now if you will see, this defer function will be called at the end. So as you can see, first these two statements are run successfully, and then at the end of this main function, when we have nothing after this statement, this defer function is called. Okay, so this is basically the use of defer function. Now we will see like there are four main use cases and the related things you should know about the defer. First one is the evaluating the arguments. Evaluating the arguments means, suppose we have a for loop here, or let me add in this, let me modify this one only. I have passed a parameter here, and I will just try to print this parameter. So now from here, if I call is equal to 1, let me remove this print ln, and I will pass this a to this defer, and I will try to increment this a. So as per the explanation what I given earlier, defer will execute at the end, and as per this code we have defined a variable a and assigned a value 1, and then we call the defer me function where we have passed this parameter, and then we have tried to increment the value of a. So as per the definition, it should print 2, right? Because after this increment, this differ will be called and this parameter will be passed to this function, and it will print whatever we have passed. So ideally it should now with like normal understanding, it should print 2, but here the logic is it will print 1. So my bad. Here it should be A. So we'll run it and you will see we'll get 1, not 2. So the here the problem is, as I said, differ is executed at the end, but this differ, whatever value at when the execution comes here, when this differ function is called, it will take whatever value is there currently and it will put this function call in his queue, in his stack. Then it will execute the next lines, the compiler will run the next lines, and at the end it will take the function call from the stack and it will call. So basically at that time it will not look again the value of A. It will just call whatever that time it has stored the information about this function call in the stack. So this is how it works. So for this to make it work, what we have to do is we have to make another function call, and inside that we will call it. So we'll just make an anonymous function here and we'll call it. So what will happen here, the compiler will only store the information about this function, and this function currently have no information. It just has some code in its body. So this body will not execute for now. This whole information will be stored in the stack, and at the end when we will reach the end of the main scope, this this all information will be called from the stack and executed. So when the executor will reach to the function body, here it will find a function call again and it will try to call this function with the value of A. So at that time it will find the value of A. So now if we will try to run, okay, my bad. Here we have to call this function also. So now if you will see, we have a value here 2, which is calculated at the time of calling in the function, and inside function whatever body we have defined it will execute, and at that time it will pick the latest value. So this is the first part where we called the evaluating arguments. So here the value of the argument is evaluated at the time of the differ is called, not the function which we are calling through differ. So here in this function nothing was there, so it didn't affect it. But if we directly call this function through differ, it will take the value at that time only. So next part is the evaluating receivers. So in Golang, as we know, the Golang is not a object-oriented programming. So here to attach some variable to any function, we have a concept called receivers. So for that, let me create a struct here. Type student struct, and here I will create a variable called name, which will be a type of string. And here I will receive a pointer type like this. And we will try to print the name of the student. So let me create a student here. and I will give the name as Suresh. Now, if I will directly call, let me remove this part. Let me comment this part. Better to comment. So here again, I will try to call this a dot defer me. So what will happen? It will directly print the name of the student. Let's see whether it prints or not. So if you see here, it has printed the Suresh. Now, if I will try to update the name of the of the student, I'll give Shubham. So what do you think it will do? It's not doing anything. But why? The concept, the logic is same. Again, it will store whatever the information is here right now, and then it will call it later with the same information. So to make it work again, we can use the same logic here, and we can, instead of this, we can call it like this, and we can uncomment this lines. So here again, if you see, if we have run, we will run, so you will get the latest part. Again, there is one more way and the function calling. If instead of just in this function receiving the object as a value, we can get this as a pointer. So in this case, the value will not be here, the address will be here. So in this case, it will print always the latest one, no matter where we have what time we have called, because it is now pointing to the address, not the actual object. So whenever it is called, it will go into that address and take the value. So this is the second thing. Third thing is like panics. Here we don't have any access pin handling. So what we do is we have a panic and a recover functions here. And whenever we use the defer always executes before the function stops working. So let me remove this all these codes, and we'll write a simple code where we will receive mhm. Okay, let me call anonymous function. Inside this, I will try to recover a function called receive recover. Funky dot println, and I'll try to print something for call, and after this we will call this function, and we can simply create a panic, and inside this I can create a panic, don't worry. So let's see what happens here. As you can see, once the panic started, defer called, we recovered the function, and we try to print it. What happen if we just try to print something else? So if I just comment it down, if I don't recover the panic, what will happen? Let's see. fmt dot println, and if you see, it will just print trying without recover. And if you see, if I try to run now, this panic will stop the function execution, and you can see the function what we have written. But you see, this is not called here. It is called here. Sorry, I bet. Here, if you see, differ will always run. So you can use this differ to recover the function, recover your code from panics. So like earlier we tried the code. Here, whenever a panic occurs, we will receive it and we can close our program smoothly, gracefully, okay, without giving ending like this with the error. So this is one more thing we use differ for. And one more thing we should know about the differ function is as I said, it stores the information in stack, so it follows the first in first out. So if we have multiple differ functions, we can call for println also for this differ. So if you see one like this, I will just try to copy some of them, and I will try to print. Oh my bad, fmt dot I forgot to put. Just again copy and paste for 4 5 times, and I will just give something 2 3 4. Now if you will see, it has printed in a reverse sequence because as I said, this is a stack, and first is called, so it will go into the bottom of the stack, then above that this will go, above that this will go, and at the top will have this. So the executor will reach at the end of this main function, so it will start popping out the items from the stack. So since this is in the top, so it will come first, then 3, then 2, then 1, and then the program will finish. So that's all in this video. uh, these things we should know about the differ before we start using in our code. So thank you, and we'll see you in the next video.